Hey y'all, and welcome to my home today. I'm Miss Katie. I want to show you how I dehydrate celery and how easy it really is. I got this markdown celery for $1.99 at the local grocery store. It is not organic like I would like for it to be, but I do like what my friend Mary at Mary's Nest talks about: cooking with economy and grace and doing the best that you can with what you have. So I have this celery, and before I wash it, I kind of picking over it, I'm cutting the ends off and the brown parts, and just kind of picking over it and throwing in the compost what I don't want. And I will be dehydrating the leaves separately from the stems, the stalks rather, and so we will talk about that. But in the meantime, I'm going to get this all just kind of trimmed up and washed up, and then we will go from there. Just go ahead and scrub it. Sometimes the inside of the celery stems are dirtier than other times, but this seemed to be pretty clean, but I do want to just get that all cleaned off. Now, you may not want to do this, but I take time to remove the strings, and it's just something I can't deal with. I can't deal with. I used to not care for celery at all, and Mr. Patient and I, neither one of us did, but now we do. We like it, but I just can't handle the strings, so I go ahead and get those off. One commenter, a viewer to this channel, recommended one time that you use a vegetable peeler to get those strings off. I tried it in this particular instance, but it didn't work as well for me as a knife. It kind of the strings got wrapped around the peeler and so forth, but if that's something that works for you, then that's fine. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep using my paring knife to de-string these celery stalks. Now, what I'm going to do is I want to have small pieces of celery, very small, so that's how I'm cutting these, and of course they're going to dehydrate even smaller. But you can just slice it like I'm doing here, just without making it small, just slicing the stalks just like that. Or you can cut the stalks into strips and then make very small pieces, which is what I did with the bulk of the celery here. Don't forget to protect your fingers. I talk about this in many videos as I'm teaching cooking and how to cook and tips and so forth. But there you have the very small pieces, and then just the slices. That's your choice, however you want to do that. Now the leaves, I'm going to store them separately from the stalks, and also they're going to dehydrate at a faster rate than the stems, stalks. So what I do is I just kind of clean those up a little bit. If the tiny stalks that are connected to the leaves, I just go ahead and dehydrate those with the leaves. Give them just kind of a rough chop, and then I'm going to label those separately from the dehydrated celery stems. A lot of times in my cooking, I'll want celery leaves and something, but maybe not the stems, the stalks. So you decide how you want to do that. But definitely you do want to put the leaves and the very tiny stalks on their own tray, because you're going to be taking those out of the dehydrator sooner. And then I just saved extra for my chicken there that I'm cooking today, for my chicken salad. All right, I ended up with 3 trays. One of them has a little more than the other, so 3 kind of sparsely populated trays there. Try to spread it out to where they're not terribly on top of each other. And I also have 1 tray of the leaves, and I'll be storing this separately from my celery stalks, dried celery stalks, but you can certainly combine them if you want to when you're storing them. I would dehydrate them separately because these aren't going to take very long to dry. So I'll put them in the dehydrator with my cantaloupe that I already have in there today. Cantaloupe will take much longer than this will, of course. Celery has a lot of water in it, but you know, we'll see how long it takes to dehydrate. Not as long as the cantaloupe, for sure. It's just fun to put different foods in there. They will not take on the flavors of others. Not that I've noticed so far. Nothing I've done has, no foods that I've put in there together have taken on the flavor of each other. So I have room for one more up here, if I can find one more thing to dehydrate. So we'll come back in several hours, late tonight or tomorrow sometime, and we'll see how we're doing. We will check the celery leaves. Uh-oh, they blow a little bit. Leaves do blow around. Be cautious of that. Well, I'll check those in several hours. Again, it's on 105 degrees because that's what I'd like to dehydrate everything on if I can, except for maybe meat products. Last night, I took out the celery leaves, so it was probably, I don't know, 6 hours or so, maybe not that long, that it took to dehydrate the leaves. It obviously doesn't take as long to dehydrate the celery leaves. Now, this morning, I took the celery, I turned the Excalibur off. It, for reference sake, it was probably 14-ish hours, probably, that it took to dehydrate the celery. So just, that depends on the thickness and your temperature, your setting you have it on. So you can see now, as small as I cut it, it's trying to fall through the little mesh there. So you have to be careful with that. I'll take this in the house and I'll put this in a jar, but you see it is tiny, which is what I like. If you want it bigger, that's fine. Let's look and see what the bigger pieces look like. And you know, the thing is, you make dehydrated food and you wonder, okay, there's the bigger the bigger pieces. you wonder, is it worth it because you don't get much? But to me it is, you know, because if you're gonna go buy spices and dehydrated things like this, then you know, you're paying for that, so might as well make it at home. So I'll be putting the celery in the jar. I do let it, you know, cool, because obviously it's at the 105 degrees when I turned it off about an hour ago. I've let it cool out here. It's not humid right now, so that's a good thing, and I'll put it in the jar. So I hope that inspires you to try dehydrating celery, and let me know if you've ever dehydrated anything, or if you like to dehydrate or don't know how, or would like more content on that. But in the meantime, always count your blessings. And one blessing that I count is our patrons on Patreon. And so all those names of those folks who financially support our ministry of spreading hope and light into the world, then their names are listed down below in the description box of this video. I will talk to y'all next time, and I hope you're, like I said, counting your blessings.